Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to In Balance, a podcast where we explore how faith and health, both physical and mental, intertwine in our daily lives and how we can finally find balance as Muslimas. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I think you can hear from my voice. First of all, I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. But that's not what I meant. I meant that you probably hear from my voice that I'm super, super excited to bring a season 2. This podcast has been such an incredible adventure full of learnings and beautiful conversations, and it was, although I asked you guys if you wanted a season 2, I kind of knew that I was going to do one just because I really wanted to keep having those beautiful conversations and share them with the world. So Alhamdulillah, we're back almost a year after the last episode of season 1 aired, which is crazy. Time is flying. So for this first episode, I guess I wanted to give you guys a little update on everything that happened and also do a little introduction to this season, inshallah. So where do I even begin? I think you probably know that a few months back I decided to take a break from my main account, the Mizan, and this page, what can I say? It truly transformed my life. And there hasn't been a day where I haven't thanked Allah from the bottom of my heart for everything this brought me, all the wonderful people that I met, the wonderful opportunities that I got, and most importantly, how it made me grow as a Muslima. Honestly, like, if I was going to meet myself at 25 now, she would be blown away by everything that happened ever since she started. And I'm not even talking about my 20-year-old self. She would be shocked. She would have never thought that this would be my life at 30. And, well, 31, I should say. And that was what I wanted to talk about today. This past few months, during this not complete social media break, because I had other projects, other account that allowed me to, earn a living and do different stuff, which was still great and Alhamdulillah related to Islam. But because the Mizan is so tied to introspection and reflection and, trying to put words into designs that make reflection accessible, I will never say that my account is for knowledge. We shouldn't seek knowledge from people online, but hopefully it was a way to, it was some sort of food for thoughts. That's why I like to think about my work in general. And I think those past few months I had to really come to terms with the fact that my life at 30 wasn't looking like what I planned. And this I accepted. But what I didn't anticipate is how I would start comparing myself a lot to people around me, people online, society standards. And that was something that I always talked about on my platforms, but somehow this year it hit me a little hard. And it's funny because when I turned 30, and I talked about this in my book, I typically on my birthday have some sort of existential crisis, and this time it didn't happen, but it happened a few months after. And it was not me comparing myself to my own standards, which are pretty high, and I can be pretty hard with myself. And so the past few years, I worked so hard to be more compassionate and and, not seek perfectionism in everything that I do, and just be a little kinder. But for some reason, this time I started comparing myself a lot to other people. And I'm not sure what happened. Maybe it was kind of a consequence of being on social media for almost 5 years. Maybe it is a consequence of entering my 30s and having friends that are in much different places than I am. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I feel like a lot of women listening to this are going to relate. There's, if I had to put it in two different facts, the first one would be there's a part of me that feels like I haven't accomplished enough or haven't accomplished what I truly wanted to accomplish. And then there's another part of me, and this one is a little deeper, and I'll get into that later, inshallah, but there's a part of me that was like, am I truly a good and righteous person? And this one, this one is so hard to navigate. So I'll start with the first part, which is feeling like I haven't accomplished much. So my mom, may Allah bless her for the patience that she's been showing me. My sister as well, she's my biggest support, but my mom, obviously, I'm her kid, so I'm assuming it's not the nicest thing to hear from your kid. But I've been saying that a lot, that I don't feel like I haven't done much with my life. And it's so crazy because if someone told me about creating a page that grew this much and helped people around the world, and I have been doing all of this from the same flat she grew up in Paris, I would have been so proud of that person. So why is it with me that I keep saying things like, I don't know, I'm not where I want to be in terms of career, in terms of things that I want to achieve. Alhamdulillah for having friends and family that are so supportive, honestly, but I really started to question why I was so positive with people and so negative with myself. And I think this is where comparison comes in. The space that I was in, and I think that's why also the break was needed at the time, is a lot based on growth and results, and like, let's be honest, a little bit on praise. We should only praise Allah, but somehow we see people online and we admire them for the work they put out and the way they present themselves and how they seem to have it all together when it comes to not only their deen, but also their life in general. And I felt so out of touch with this because my life didn't look like the life of all those creators. I would compare myself in terms of the financial situation and in terms of my marital situation and feel like, what is going on? Why am I not earning as much as those people, even though I truly feel like I work hard? Why am I not married yet? I am I not lovable? Is there something wrong about me? And all those thoughts. It wasn't so much of why is Allah doing this to me, but rather what have I done that isn't right? And that's where the second fact/thought comes in, where it's like, although I've been asking Allah every single day to keep me grounded, to purify my intentions, and to be surrounded by people that will call me out if I do something that isn't aligned with my principles and compromise my ethics, there is a part of me that was like, maybe along the way, there was something that made me not such a good person. And I'm not saying that it is the case or it is true, and Alhamdulillah, I think I'm saying this now because I had some time to reflect upon all of this, and Alhamdulillah, make some sort of peace with the fact that hopefully I think I am a good person, and I'm working every day to be a good person and a righteous person, someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with. Although obviously there's always room to improvement. Yeah, there was like at that point there was a part of me that was like, maybe I'm not that righteous. Maybe there's obviously, when you compare yourself, there's probably envy, there's a lack of tawakkul, and all those things. Although they don't make you a bad person per se, they should still lead you to question yourself. When I started to reflect on that, I started asking myself, what is the thing that makes me think that I am a good person? What is the thing that makes me think I am a righteous person? I I didn't realize that maybe there were certain things that I had in my heart that I needed to work on, and that again wouldn't not make me a righteous person, but that I should question so I can be even better. And I think comparing myself, showing some sort of envy, even though I was happy for the people that I was comparing myself to, because I was like, they deserve it. It's not that they don't deserve it. It's what am I doing wrong again? And all those things. It led me to come back to the fundamentals. What makes a righteous person? First of all, I think it's about seeking Allah's satisfaction in everything that you do. Absolutely everything that you do. Taqwa is a beautiful, beautiful concept. A lot of people see it as obedience, which it does include obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is also very much about consciousness. And this consciousness, which I love because it goes hand in hand with being mindful, being sustainable, being balanced, all the things that I love talking about, it is sometimes hard to apply it to every aspect of your life. And when it came to the things that I described, it's like, have I been really completely conscious of doing this for the sake of Allah first and foremost, and being sure that I am seeking His satisfaction first and foremost? And when I say this, it isn't just about people's satisfaction, but also your own, It's like your intention should be to please Allah first, and not yourself or people. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be proud of the work that you put out, or that you shouldn't be happy that people love the work you do, because, if people like you, then it means that Allah loves you, Alhamdulillah, But it is so important to take that step back and remember who is your priority. And your priority is Allah. And if you know that you're seeking His satisfaction first, then you will be satisfied with yourself. And it shouldn't be the other way around, That is so important to have that in mind. The second thing is, what is the quality of my Islam? And when I say my Islam, it's the 5 pillars. Obviously, the 5 pillars. I always, always, always try to remind myself of this. The 5 pillars, they're called pillars for a reason. They're the fundamentals, they're the basis of your faith. This is what you're going to build your iman and then seek ihsan from, And although every day, Alhamdulillah, I wake up feeling so grateful to be Muslim and haven't questioned being Muslim once in my life, the one thing that I started to realize could have been improved was my salah. And it had very much turned into something very automatic, something that even sometimes I was trying to, be fully focused on, and I would go into my room and be like, hey, I am excited to pray. I am going to be concentrated this time. It wasn't happening. I was always distracted by something. And most of the time, I was distracted by work. by my project. And I would spiral. I would be like, I am praying, okay, my body is praying, my mind is praying, but is my heart praying right now? And truth be told, it wasn't always the case. And when I realized that, it, it kind of it kind of made me sad, you know, because when you talk about faith and you love talking about faith, there's a part of you that is going to feel some sort of imposter syndrome, which I've talked about many times, where it's like, how can I spread awareness about this topic and share love about this topic and try to share the lessons that I've learned and the knowledge that I've learned about this topic online. How can I do all of this and then not be focused during what is probably the most important pillar, you know? Um, and this wasn't easy to deal with. And I'm still trying to improve on that, you know? And if anything, I hope me saying this just brings you a little bit of comfort. I think this is something that we talked about with Rena in the first season. And at the end of the day, I think it applies to everyone, even the people that you look out to a lot. They are probably having some hard time sometimes when it comes to faith. And this is something I addressed in a recent newsletter where I was talking about spiritual burnout. And I feel like this is the term that encompasses everything that I mentioned this episode. Feeling like I haven't accomplished much, feeling like I'm not certain sometimes if I'm a righteous slash good person or not, and wanting to be better, to improve in my practice, in my acts of ibadah, but not being able to, you know? I feel like that's very different from your faith getting lower when you don't actually want to, but in that situation, I wanted to, but it's like almost I couldn't. And I had to pinpoint what was going wrong. All those reflections, it's a bit messy. And I'm sorry if it was all quite hard to follow, but hopefully you got the gist. And if I had to sum it up, I think all those brain knots, as I like to call them, I can only be grateful for. Because if I had to compare myself at this very moment to reassure myself, I should compare myself to those who never have those thoughts, who never feel guilty, who never seek to be better for the sake of Allah, who never question how Allah perceives them, and they only just are certain, 100% certain that they're good people, so they don't need to make any efforts to become better, or they're just very complacent with the fact that yes, we are flawed. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, and therefore we just have to accept it, and there's nothing we can do about it, you know? It's just it's the way we are. It's our nature. When I compare to these people, I feel a sense of relief. I'm like, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, Allah didn't like make me ungrateful. I feel like it is about gratitude. I feel very grateful that I am reflecting this way and I'm not taking anything for granted. And when I say I don't take anything for granted, I am talking about being righteous, but also being Muslim. Because this, at the end of the day, is not granted. We cannot be certain that we are going to die Muslim. That's why, you know, when sometimes I see people, let's say, for example, during Ramadan, I see people not fasting, and I am. And I'm telling myself, wow, those people that it's Ramadan, they're not fasting. And then I'm thinking, maybe someday they will be fasting and you won't, you know, because that's how life works. And may Allah preserve us from that, because that's such a terrifying thought. But it is the truth. And in a nutshell, I feel like all of this is about balance. Surprise, surprise. No, but in all seriousness, I do think that it's life isn't easy navigating with everything that we're exposed to, even in our community. And what we should seek at all cost is balance. And sometimes it will mean being sure that you are a good person, and sometimes not being so sure that you are. And having to navigate between those two thoughts will mean that eventually you will reach balance. And that's the same with everything in life. And Alhamdulillah for this. I feel so lucky that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with free will and cognitive abilities so we can learn and reflect upon the knowledge that is our heritage as Muslims, Alhamdulillah. And I feel very blessed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us accountable, has made us responsible. You know, it's like He trusts us to make good choices based on the things that He gave us, Alhamdulillah. But also, if sometimes you feel like Islam is difficult, remember that it isn't because of Him, but because of us as humans and the world we live in. And whenever you remember that, it allows you to put so much things into perspective, to feel so much more at peace, to feel so content with your life, and to grow, honestly, to grow as a human. And that is amazing. May Allah keep us steadfast and allow us to experience the beauty of Jannah after going through the tribulations of life. God knows how sometimes it is quite nerve-wracking, but I am certain that making those efforts to reflect and ask ourselves how we can improve without being too hard on ourselves or neglect our mental health, because it is so important if we want to preserve our iman. So, with that being said, again, I am certain that making all those efforts will pay off. And they will pay off both in this dunya, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the efforts, He rewards the effort, He loves the patient, the resilient, and He is the most just. So He will reward us for those efforts here, and we will obviously see the fruits of this hard work, all those efforts in the afterlife, inshallah. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of this second season of In Balance. I cannot wait for you to listen to the next ones. They are true gems, full of beautiful reflections once again on very different topics, but always about how mental health, physical health have such an importance for us in our faith as Muslims. So I truly, truly hope you will enjoy them. I will kindly ask you to leave a review if you haven't already, as it will help people to find the podcast and hopefully, inshallah, learn something from it, get some insightful information about different topics, maybe find some solace as well, just, yeah, again, a sense of relief of knowing that there are women around the world going through the same experiences. And most importantly, because this will go live during the blessed month of Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak, guys, I truly, truly pray that you have an amazing month. Please don't pressure yourself. Just, again, do the best you can. Live it as if it was your last. It is so important because, again, nothing is granted, especially time. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you need any link, it will be in the podcast description. And yeah, I will see you in the next one, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
ستعود جميلة تلك الأيام. نملة